Greetings, greetings, greetings. Coming to you live from the house and the upper room of Sankofa Talk Show. I wanted to come on today and speak on something in regards to somewhat of the message that I gave forth on TalkShoe.com Sunday. I try to be on that platform every Sunday, every Sunday at somewhere between 10 o'clock, well, 10:15 and 10:30, let's say that. But even if I don't give my shows or give the date in which I have my shows, you can always go to the archive. I guess what I will focus on here and now is that I will try to get a show out at least two to maybe three times a week. When they will come up, I have no idea. I just go with the flow of however the information or the message is coming through me. And I speak from that space and that space alone. So, in regards to the message that I gave forth yesterday, I mean, not yesterday, but this Sunday on TalkShoe, I talked about relationships, okay? And I talked about relationships, seeing them from a higher perspective and perceiving them from a higher perspective. What do I mean when I say higher perspective? I'm talking about seeing relationships, period, from a spiritual perspective. Now, how do we see relationships from a spiritual perspective? We see it from an energetic perspective. So let's look at the tools in which we have been given to pretty much facilitate the learning process and how we should do this. Now, when you meet someone, you have to understand that everyone is on different levels when it comes to their spiritual journey or their spiritual walk. Different levels, okay? Everyone is on different levels. Although all of the levels are coming from the same source, which makes us the same, but not the same in difference. Because this is about individuality. Think about it. If we were all the same, then there would be no need for individuality. But because we are individuals, we have the ability to express the divinity within us in different ways. In different ways, and it expresses itself through us in different ways. And I have to say that because we do nothing without the divine expressing itself through us. Now, you can call the divine the source, the God, the first cause of all that is and all that will ever be. But hey, at the end of the day, it is infinite in existence, and it has absolutely no name. We just give it a name because that's what we do within the human experience. So moving on, talking about how we meet others based on where they are or what they have developed within the energy field of their own field, their energy body, if you will. Now, we talk about the chakras. Of course, there are 7, but there are everyone does not move up and down all 7. You have only a few and far in between who can move up and down the chakra level, the chakras, and move upward and expand outward to the other chakras. Then you have those who maintain the first 3 levels of the chakra. And that's usually where you meet a person. A person, you'll meet a person at who is pretty much at the root level of their chakra. So because they're at the root level, there's a sense of missing substance. All they missing substance in what they say. Okay, what do I mean by missing substance in what they say? They will say something, but they won't support. There's nothing to support what they say. And most of the time, they are going off a script. Now, we all know that most people, and I was one of those people, who was programmed to say a particular thing at a certain time. So that's what happens at the root level. So they have these conversations about the materialistic life of things, the physicality of things, touching things, feeling things. That's how they connect. They connect from that root. Okay, they connect from that root. Now, I want to say this as well, because I'm this information is coming in fast and is moving fast. At the root level, they most of the time people are talking about ancestral. They're talking about ancestral things. They're talking about traditions. They are quite nostalgic in a lot of ways. And that's how they operate. There's a strong family tie there. And the tide is so tight that they are not independent of these traditions or ancestrals or whatever the case is. Fables and stories and superstitions, they're tied into all of that. So now let's move into the sacral. You meet a person who has an underdeveloped sacral. They're very lustful and very seductive. Okay, whereas the person who has fully developed in the sacral will view intimacy from a spiritual perspective. So they will want to do things like they will want to have intimacy within the actions or the activity of physical touching or whatever the case is. Everything is spiritual when you're dealing with a spiritual person. Everything is physical when you're dealing with a person who is just having a human experience. Okay. So, moving on. This person, a person who is underdeveloped in the sacral, usually they have somewhat of an addictive personality. Yes, they have somewhat of an addictive personality, and they almost, they can almost, they blend in by being somewhat of a chameleon, but it's not who they are. It's a part of, it is a part of what they're trying to be, or what they long for, or perhaps what they are coveting, okay, from the other person. Now, it's coming back around to me. Maslow talked about the pyramid. Now, and Maslow, he was a doctor of psychology, or he ran with Dr. Carl Jung and all of them, okay, for the psychology arena, if you will. Now, he speaks about the pyramid, okay? He speaks about the pyramid, and right at the base of the pyramid, there is survival status. A person is at survival status, and when they are at that survival status, they do not have the resources to look elsewhere, to move upward and outward and expand in their consciousness. So what happens is people come into their lives and they pretty much become chameleons to almost like clothe themselves with the energy of that other person as to be that other person. But in doing this, moving on to the solar plexus where you have power, this is your ability to do things. In order for them to survive, there has to be a way to manipulate the emotions of another person, okay? Of another person. And once they manipulate that other person to do what they want them to do, then they're satisfied. But this is the interesting thing. You have, although you have 7 chakras, and you have these first 3 in which I talked about, trust when I say this, there is a distorted side to everything, because this goes back to the laws of polarity. There's always an opposing opponent, if you will. There will always be an opposing opponent simply because you have the law of polarity and you have the law of correspondence. Okay? Now, what I'm going to say about this, if an individual meets another individual, let's say one is at the survival mode where they are seductive, promiscuous, lustful, not just lustful physically, but lustful for the things of this world, just reaching out for the things of this world. If they are in this status, they're not going, they have to manipulate to maintain that survival mode. That's the only reason why you would manipulate someone, because you want to maintain your survival mode. And if you can get the other person to do what you want them to do, then hey, you've survived. You've done what you needed to do. You've done what you needed to do. Now, I spoke about, meeting people who are not, who are unhealthy. And I'm not saying, yes, I am saying, because I can't sugarcoat this stuff. You're gonna meet people who are not for your good, and you're gonna meet those who support and thrive in the same way, and they appreciate you're thriving. Now, I'm gonna go back to something David Banner said, and I appreciate him so much. I really do, and I never really got into him, and I not that I didn't want to, but he just never came about in my energy field so that I could listen to him. But he talks about how some people are there to assist you and some people are not there to assist you, and how someone is hating on you is when you decide to assist this other person on something that they are doing, and they realize that your assistance is better than what they have desired to do. So what happens is they get upset with you because their vision is being trumped by your assistance, and then they start hating. They really, really start hating on you. And I don't know if I said that very clearly, but hey, I say however is given to me. But going back to relationships, it is a beautiful thing, and it's not about relationships with your intimate partner or significant other. It's a relationship with everyone in which you come in contact with. And I think David Banner had mentioned this. Everyone that you come in contact with, there is a courtship going on between you and that other person. Now, academically, they would say that this is social intercourse. You're entering into the course of socializing, relating to another individual based on what needs to take place in that space between you and that person, or between you and that group, or between you and the role in which you play when you're working. Okay. That is going to be my take. I'm going to go ahead and take the show over to talktrue.com. If you want to come, feel free to do that. If you want to listen to the archives, please do that too. Until then, stay focused, stay blessed, and stay in the light.